Top of the hour, let's begin with the news updates coming in as a setback to Lalit Modi, the IPL or the Indian Premier League founder, who had recently filed an application with the Indian High Commission in London to surrender his Indian passport, has faced a big setback. Lalit Modi, who had acquired citizenship of Vanuatu, which is a South Pacific island nation, faces a shock as their Prime Minister has asked the Citizenship Commission to cancel the passport that has been issued to Lalit Modi. Let's get in a word from Bhavtosh, Rinjoy and Rishabh, who are connected with us right now. Bhavtosh, as far as pending investigation on Lalit Modi is concerned, what is now being said as far as Vanuatu deciding to cancel his passport?
Well, his passport, in fact, Indian passport, he surrendered it before the London Indian High Commission in London and was seeking the citizenship of Vanuatu. He is not the first Indian fugitive who was trying to seek the citizenship of Vanuatu. It's a small island in Asia Pacific near New Zealand and Australia. And by seeking the citizenship of Vanuatu, one not only gets tax benefit, but also, in fact, can even gets away from all the Interpol notices. It's a country that does not come under the Interpol. It's a Pacific island nation. Earlier, there was an accused in the cattle smuggling case who also managed to get citizenship of Vanuatu. So he was trying to evade from the law, and it was Indian agencies as well as the Indian External Affairs Ministry that tracked him. And then, in fact, India put pressure on Vanuatu. The reports that we have got is that an Indian ambassador in New Zealand, in fact, managed to convince the head of state of Vanuatu that, look, he has cases against him and that he is wanted by Indian agencies. Remember, in 2010, in a very dramatic fashion, just before the IPL final, he landed in the stadium in a helicopter, and his bodyguards were carrying a bulletproof jacket. And then that was the last time he was seen in India. Then there were reports that he was in Iceland. Then there were reports that he was in other countries, and then he was spotted in England. He claims that he has no criminal case against him. He has an FIR registered in Tamil Nadu by the Q branch, and then there is a FEMA inquiry that is going against him. He, in a tweet or a post in X, continues to maintain there is no criminal case against him. But the report that we have is now that Vanuatu head of state has said that his passport, Vanuatu passport.
All right. As far as details that are now coming across as far as Lalit Modi is concerned, who left India in 2010 and is learned to have been living in London, but this is now coming across as a setback when it comes to a media release that have now also been issued with regards to the Prime Minister of Vanuatu ordering the cancellation of Lalit Modi's passport. Let's put that in highlight. And this has now been issued on the 10th of March 2025. Prime Minister of Vanuatu has today directed the Citizenship Commission to cancel the Vanuatu passport issued to Mr. Lalit Modi following the recent revelations in international media, where he says that I have instructed the Citizenship Commission to immediately begin the proceedings to cancel Mr. Modi's Vanuatu passport, while all standard background checks, including Interpol screening conducted during when it comes to his application, showed no criminal convictions. I have been made aware that in the past 24 hours that Interpol twice rejected Indian authorities' request to issue an alert notice to Mr. Modi due to lack of substantive judicial evidence. Any such events that have now or alert would have triggered an automatic rejection of Mr. Modi's citizenship application. And the Prime Minister has emphasized that holding a Vanuatu passport is a privilege, not a right, and applicants must seek citizenship for legitimate reasons. So, Srinjoy, as far as when it comes to the former IPL chief, who is wanted by the Indian law enforcement agencies in connection with allegations that he was involved in embezzlement of crores of rupees, this is in a manner to say that diplomatically, India has raised the issue and now his passport seems to have been cancelled.
Yes, very clear, very deft diplomatic work by India and the MEA. Very clearly, the Indian side told Vanuatu and people concerned that, look here, this is a man who's wanted. Do you want to give him a citizenship? Do you want to give him a passport? And looking at all the evidence, looking at all the details, the Vanuatu government, it's a tiny island in the South Pacific. And clearly, this was somewhere Lalit Modi felt he would be able to hide for much of his life and without any problems. And that's exactly what he did. He got himself a passport. And then, realizing what Lalit Modi was all about, the Vanuatu government has decided that enough is enough. They don't want controversial people in their country. They want legitimate people. They want people who can raise the level of importance of their country. They don't want someone who has so much excess baggage behind him to become a citizen, which is why the Prime Minister of the country has said, look here, fine, there is an application, fine, he has been given a passport, but now enough is enough. We cannot accept him, so the passport is cancelled. That's the first thing, which makes him clearly wanted in India. And now the Indian government still wants him in India for questioning, and it's up to the British government to ensure that something happens. Mr. S. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister, was in London recently, and perhaps the issues would have come up with the Foreign Office.
Well, Rishabh, how is India taking up the issue? Does he still remain an Indian citizen?
Well, definitely. See, what we are given to understand that he has approached the Indian High Commission in London to surrender his passport and eventually his citizenship as well. But, you know, what's the process? The process is that once you submit your application for surrendering the passport and citizenship, a police verification certificate is issued by the Indian High Commission or the, you know, or any relevant authority that if you're surrendering it here in India. Here, the you know, that police verification certificate is provided after all the agencies give NOC. Here, as senior colleague Bhavtosh and Srijoy were pointing out, that there are pending legal cases against Lalit Modi, which he says there are none, but yes, there are cases that are against him, that all cases will stop the police verification certificate, which means that he cannot surrender. India consider him an Indian citizen and wants to try him for all the embezzlement that we have seen in past one and a half decade, and that's the reason that he is a fugitive right now. You know, as you know, Bhavtosh sir was also pointing out that how the Indian High Commissioner in New Zealand convince the state head of Vanuatu that he is a fugitive, he is a wanted person in India, and giving citizenship to him can also create a diplomatic you know, issue. That's the reason that now we are hearing that Prime Minister of Vanuatu has asked the Citizenship Commission of Vanuatu to cancel the citizenship granted and revoke the passport that has been issued on in December 2020.
For a better understanding, you know, such small countries, do they, you know, become a safe haven for fugitives, because Vanuatu does not have income tax, withholding tax, capital gains tax, inheritance tax, or you know, other tourism and agriculture export that contribute to the national income. But does it become an attractive place when it comes to shielding such fugitives?
Definitely, Amita, he's not the first fugitive who has done so, and probably not the last one who has done so. You have case of Sandesra's brother who fled from India. They went to Albania, and India is trying to, in fact, get them from Albania. And several such fugitives who, in fact, escaped from India and had sought refuge there. Not only economic fugitives who had done so, but even terrorists who had fled from India, and they are all trying to get citizenship. In fact, they're running their operations from here. You have gangsters turned terrorists who are operating from these small nations. The fact is that India should, in fact, make sure that they don't flee from the country. Remember, it was Lalit Modi's dramatic escape. We all, in fact, have seen that visual of him landing at Wankhede, in middle of the Wankhede Stadium in an IPL final with his bodyguards, and the bodyguards were South African bodyguards. He claimed that he's receiving threat from Chota Rajan, but he remembered that he knew that there were investigating agencies that were probing him. It's a tax fraud case which was worth crores of rupees. He denied this charge. He always said that there is no case against him, but the fact is that he is still wanted. He's under investigation. Even in the last post that he had put out on X, he claimed that there is no case against him. The fact is that India deftly used diplomatic
Yes,
power
the cue
and made
card
sure
is something that Lalit Modi time and again has been raising, especially when it comes to social media accounts. Ambassador Deepak Vora is also connected with us, a former diplomat. Good morning to you, sir. What do you make of this development? Because Lalit Modi, who has been facing allegations of money laundering, tax evasion, he fled to UK about 10-15 years ago. And despite India's repeated attempts to get him back, little progress had been made. Now, with this new citizenship in Vanuatu, which has now been cancelled, but there is no extradition treaty, this case, do you believe, has taken a new turn?
Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm not in the nation's capital. I'm far away, but thank you. Nevertheless, it's great fun to be with you in the morning, and I learned so much. Absolutely, Vanuatu, I've visited. It's a tiny little place, I think 70 or 80 islands with a GDP of just about $1 billion. Many of these smaller places, including Antigua and Barbuda, I think this Choksi fellow has got a passport from there. They have some kind of policies for golden residence programs. You invest a certain amount of money and they give you a passport. Now, these guys run away there because a fellow like Modi, whose passport we have cancelled, he has no other nationality. He will not be able to travel unless he has some kind of travel document. Of course, the British are very perfidious, so they might quietly give him some kind of travel document. We don't trust these fellows. What I learned from this is two things. Vanuatu has been benefiting from our Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation Program. There people come for scholarships, we do give them some assistance and so on. Secondly, it's not easy anymore, and that's the message going out, to mess with a $5 trillion economy like India. We are the leaders of what is called the Global South, and these little fellows realize, Vanuatu is also a member, they realize that you don't mess around with it. When you are a little mouse, you don't fool around with this huge cat that is India. I think that message will go across to many people. And Shri Modi, I hope this character will come back to India soon to face justice. Running away after committing a crime is no solution. It gives you temporary reprieve. But ma'am, there's one other thing that I'd like to use your channel to tell these characters. What about their families? What about their kids? Do you realize how they live with it? I've actually known of a case where this character who's in jail in England, this diamond fellow, my granddaughter went to the same school as his kid in New York. And so one day she asked me, is this guy a crook? I said, why do you ask? She said, some of my colleagues, my classmates were saying that his father is a crook, a criminal, a smuggler, and so on. What will the kid live with? What will the kid grow up with? Do these fellows not realize? I do hope that this will be a lesson for all these chaps who think that they can buy passports from these poorer countries and get away from the long arm of the law. The law will not let you escape. India will not let you escape. Not now, not in 10 years, not in 100 years. That is the message, ma'am.
And does he still stay as an Indian citizen? Because he's already made an application for surrendering his passport in the High Commission of India in London, where he fled for the last 10-15 years. And the same, what is being said by the MEA, will also be examined in the light of the rules and procedures. Thank you very much, Ambassador Vora, for joining in. To you as well, Bhavtosh, Rinjoy and Rishabh. We'll get you more on that heading into a short break. You're watching Times Now.